All right. Welcome to the Bold Life Podcast. My name is Tracy Justice, and I am your host. And you can go ahead and call me Coach Bold, right? Because, I had found out quite a few years ago, which is funny. Well, maybe less than, maybe about 2-3 years ago, um, that Tracy means bold. Right. And it's just and it's all part of the reason why I decided to go this way, because I do feel like, there is a calling on my life to be bold and to just trust, what I feel in my heart. And I do believe that I'm just called to help other people, right? Believe in themselves as well, right? Because I do believe that we all have the purpose, the cure, whatever it is. Each and every single one of us have a part to it. But until we can, be bold enough to expose it and explore it and challenge ourselves to really see what we can really do, then, we've got to be bold, right? Because it's just going to stay dormant, and then we're not seeing what we're supposed to be seeing in this world, right? Like, that's just me and my woo-woo-ness, but that's okay. Now, before I go ahead and get started with today's topic, which is about values, are yours lived or are they stated? Right. And it's funny because I really had to wrestle with that topic, really, honestly, today. Really, today, but I mean, quite a bit. But I think that I really recognize that for myself today. But before I jump into that, before I jump into the topic, what I did want to share is that, I do have some things coming up. So I want to get that taken care of so that we can jump into the conversation. Now, I do have March 14th. That is the date so far that I'm thinking about, right, for launching the third season of the Bold Life podcast. And this time I would like to, not thinking, I already know what I'm going to do. And it is going to be the BS check-in series. And I'm really excited for this series because this is the series where I wanted to do something like this when I first started, right? And but what I preach is you've got to just put yourself out there and just try. So before I even get into that, let me share the video. Oh, hold on. Before I do that, let's turn off the music because I forgot. I got to do that first. So let's pause. Yeah. Okay. It's funny because I really do it's funny because I hear this song and I just jam to it. But for me, this is my funny take. Well, let's take the video off. But this is my funny take for what I do, right? What I do is I'm all about creating bold spaces. I create the bold spaces for leaders to be able to check in on themselves, right? And just really deal with the BS. And when I really, thought about this idea, it's one of those things where you turn your pain into something where you realize that, I can sit here and get mad about, people who don't want to check themselves. You know what I mean? Because that's really what it boiled down to, that, we work in these cultures. Really, it comes to work cultures, right? Work environment. We work in these environments where we're told we need to be collaborative, we need to work together, but then sometimes you have some people who will do whatever it is that they want to do, right? And then it just creates chaos. And what you realize is that people, I know it's going to sound naive for me to even say this, but sometimes people are just really truly about their own agenda. And I think as leaders, if you are a leader, I believe it is truly our responsibility, right? Our responsibility to make sure that we are facilitating the work. We're facilitating, opportunities that we are facilitating. And sometimes people are just caught up. Some leaders are just caught up in their own BS, right? Like they're just so caught up in their own BS and they don't want to challenge it. And I found myself where, I was upset about that, right? Like I was just like, I'm just tired of this and people who, just want to do whatever and then think that you're going to do this and do that. And then, what I realized? I thought, what, let's make it a little funny, but make it real. Because truly, honestly, that is what I'm about. We have to be able to talk about the tough stuff. we have to be able to talk about the things that maybe, aren't always easy to conversations to have, but we need to find a way to get to the place where we can have these type of conversations, right? It just seems like, we're okay with the status quo. We're okay with talking about things, but we're not okay with actually making the change, right? Like, and that's what I find. I find that sometimes you just come around just different folks, from different walks in life. And one thing that I've realized is that, not everybody is always in it for everybody, right? But here's the thing, and that's okay, because sometimes we're sleepwalking. We're not paying attention to the fact that we're kind of in this autopilot, just doing things, right? Without really, having anyone to check you or checking yourself. And what I want to do is just really create that space where leaders can really just get in the room. We can talk about it and just say, okay, this is where I'm messing up. Every time I see a person that looks like this, I'm noticing that I'm overlooking them from promotions. And, and I'm trying to deal with it. And I'm, and I know that it's wrong. And I don't, who can I talk to, because I'm afraid that I'm going to get canceled. But I know that I need to work on this, but who can help me? That's what it's all about. How do we create those bold spaces where we're not canceling people, but we're giving this opportunity to counsel? Because I heard this is not mine, but not cancel culture, but counsel culture. How do we get to a place where we can allow people to speak from their own assumptions? Not because, they're going to disrespect somebody, but because they're speaking from what they know. When people are able to speak from what they know, and then we have people that are able to come alongside and just kind of, help people with some of their questions and just kind of help them see how they're looking at it and just, be that extra set of eyes. I think it can do a lot, right? So we've really got to get to that place. I'm just tired of people not talking to people, just people doing whatever, and, and just and everything, right? So let me not go on my rant, but I also want to share another thing that I'm doing these days. And so I do have the Bold Ideas, the think tank workshop experience. And this is an opportunity where we can have that, that open space. We work together to figure out what it is that you're looking for, what's going on in your organization. Because I don't believe in teaching, creating experiences where we're just doing the same thing that everybody else is doing, right? It's about understanding what's going on within your organization, right? What's going on in your own backyard? What's going on there? Let's work with that, right? Because first the foundation has to be set, has to, be right before you can start bringing people in, right? But you have to be able to have these conversations and allow people to say what they're going to say and not cancel them right after that, not cancel them because they have a feeling. Right. And so if you want to learn a little bit more about that, that is an opportunity for that. And then I also have the 12 phases to performance management prowess. I just absolutely love performance management. And I know that, there's a big article, and one day I will probably do a topic on that. But in the HR world, it's always going around, should we do away with performance management? Should we keep it? And I believe that how can you do away with something? I mean, honestly, how can you manage something if you're not tracking it? Like, we need to have actual goals that can be tracked, right? So that we can hold each other accountable. We can't hold each other accountable to just proverbial things in the, okay, I'm going to get this done. Okay, how, what should I expect? Right? Like, I think we have to get clear, because if we're thinking about improving organizational capacity, we really need to have a performance management, a plan in place. Right. And then I also couple this with skills-based strategies, right? Looking at how do you look at skills to build a dynamic team, right? How do you use skills as what you lead with to build a team, rather than just, saying, oh, I just need a secretary. Okay. Or I just need a billing representative. Okay, but what skill sets are you truly looking for your team, truly to create the, the success that you're looking for? So that is something else that I love to do. And then, here's my network. If you want to join, my network and find out a little bit more about things that I have going on, I haven't quite sent out stuff yet. However, if you'd like to get on the list, as I start getting productive and finding really neat, innovative ways to just really find ways to engage, right? To create an engaging experience, even through emails, right? So I just wanted to share that and really talk about some of the things that I'm doing. Oh, hold on, wait a minute. I almost forgot. I still got a little bit more on here. So actually, some of the other things that I'm doing. So every second Wednesday at 4 p.m., Chris Schrader and I come together and we do this, we finding your HR advocacy voice. Now, I just absolutely love this. Now, here's the thing, right? If you are somebody who wants to understand public policy, this is a great opportunity for you to do this because Chris Schrader, he is an advocacy pro. And it's not about, telling you how to think, because I totally am against, teaching people how to think about, how to make decisions, right? Like, you can make up your own mind. But what I love about our conversations is that you really get to understand how public policy works, right? Because it's just not black and white. And sometimes we think that. And I think that sometimes because we don't fully understand, I feel like sometimes this causes us, I'm just a community person, right? So sometimes I feel like, this causes us to fight against our own neighbors because we don't really truly understand how the law actually works. We don't understand all the other moving parts that impact the decision or what we want to do. And so sometimes we get upset. It's good to be educated on how the process works so that you can become an involved, engaged citizen. Honestly, because because if you're not sitting at the table making decisions, you are on somebody's menu. They are looking at it and saying, I think I might want this, rare, medium, well. If you don't want to be on the menu, then you got to get a seat to the table, right? So I'm excited about that. And then I know you're going to say, girl, you are just doing just all these different shows. I am, because I'm serious about this Bold Move Challenge. I'm really serious about challenging myself to do better and to grow. And I understand that, it is going to be brick by brick every week, staying committed, doing something that is moving me towards my goals. I mean, I'm really in it for the experience and learning and growing, right? Because what I found out is that when I have all these, checklists of different things that I want to do and I hurry up and accomplish them, I just feel empty. I don't know about y'all, but I just feel empty when I just accomplish things just to accomplish it. So, I'm just doing it week by week, building that brick. We gonna see let me not even say the word wall because that word is just so contentious right now. But we gonna build a house. We gonna build something, and eventually, you know what I mean? Because one brick, and you're laying a brick every week, it's gonna build something. I can't wait to see what I build after this. And so here's the next thing that I'm really excited about. Oh my goodness, the bold life. Check on your bold sister. And I'm really excited about this as well, because this has been something else that I've been wanting to do. And it just worked out right with Jill Battle. I mean, and so that she is going to be, she is my co-host for this series. And so you can count on us having our conversations and checking on our bold sisters. And with our particular segments, it really is going to be focusing on the Black woman. Now here, let me tell you this. Let me just let this get some more little airtime before. So let me not put myself, because I want to give some airtime to the bold, to check on your bold sister. But here's the thing. I love all my women. You know what I'm saying? I support, I believe in all of us, because at the end of the day, we do have some similar things that we're going through. Of course. Right. But what I do want to focus on, I just want to be a little intentional for me with my Black women, right? Because let me stop with that, because I know what it's like as you begin to want to do things and you start exploring and expanding yourself. What'll happen is that sometimes we can feel alone, right? Sometimes we can feel alone and by ourselves. And because I did share about, Dr. Antoinette, and that kind of, I was triggered by that because I realized that, but it's the reason why I do what I do, right? Because sometimes, I don't want to make it like boohoo, because it's not boohoo, because we don't need nobody to, cry over us. But what it is just realize that there are some different things that we go through, and there's just intricate. And so what I love doing this with Jill Battle is that we get to have these conversations, open it up to many other professional Black women out there who are just going through some things in the corporate world. You're trying to do your thing. You're trying to build your business, and you just want, a space, right? A space. And I'm just a space where, people normalize the stress, right? Normalize the stress, model it on a different level. And so, and there's so many other different connections as well. And, so I'm really excited about that. So let's jump into what we're talking about today. And let me get that banner out. Let's see. Yep. All right. So values. Are yours lived or stated? Now, when I say I really had to really wrestle with this, because sometimes these values, what I'm realizing is that, I have values that at first I didn't realize that they were values. I'll be totally honest, right? Because, I think, I kind of thought of values the way I think most people, well, I don't know what most people think about values, but I don't think I really understood values the way that I do now, because I am a certified coach as well. So when you really think about values, and sometimes it's that thing you can't really explain sometimes at first when you're not really used to working with your values, right? Like you might at first just say, well, something, first let me get into the definition, right? Before I start getting carried away. So, okay, values, are yours lived or stated? So here's my bold statement to kind of, start my conversation about values, right? So values are the building blocks of your belief system. What you subconsciously believes governs your day-to-day actions. Right? And so, and the key word for me is that subconsciously. What you subconsciously believes governs your day-to-day action. Believe. What you subconsciously believe. Okay, I don't know why I put the S there. I said that and like, what? That didn't make any sense. So, oops, typo there, and I can fix that now. So let's just fix it. Go ahead and fix it now. But you know what? Let's get that S out of here, because we don't need to have that there. We don't need that. Okay. And so, but the key word for me is subconsciously, right? What you subconsciously believe governs your day-to-day actions. And that's what I was kind of leading into when I said that sometimes you don't realize it's your values that are being, violated just sounds so strong. But sometimes that's what it is. There's something that's hitting against your values, what you believe in, what you think should happen. And sometimes you may not be able to articulate that, because I was thinking about this earlier when I was just kind of, getting my thoughts together of what I'm going to say. I don't necessarily write a script, but I just kind of just get some keywords. And I just started thinking about it. And it was just like, and I had to like bring myself back to not coach mindset, but just normal everyday people who may not be coaches and may not really think about value. If you're not somebody that gets into values type of work, I wouldn't normally say, somebody's, this is pissing me off or this is upsetting me because it's rubbing against my values. Now, I didn't know that before, but now because, you become aware and you can realize, like, you'll notice that, when you're upset, you're irritated. Maybe somebody walks in the room and then all of a sudden you're irritated or you're upset, or somebody walks in the room and sits, walks towards the podium or something. And maybe at first you saw the person walk in and you just kind of said, I wonder who that person is. And then you saw the person walk up to the podium. You're like, hold on, wait a minute. What's going on? Right? Like, so we don't always pinpoint and say, there's a value there that, there's something I believe there. There's something there that I believe that, subconsciously I'm holding on to, but consciously you're not aware. So you get irritated. And sometimes if we're not careful, we don't pay attention. We just get irritated, stay irritated, and it just builds, as the days are going, as the day is as you're going through your day, right? So what I wanted, so today in today's discussion or, this chat, we're going to kind of talk about your values, right? Like, how can you really start looking at your values and really get a better sense of, what's going on, right? Because here we are, like, it is February. We're in the beginning of February, and it's all about, resolutions and creating goals for yourself and seeing, how much progress that you can create for yourself this year, right? But but one of the things that sometimes we think about, like, we'll write our goals, right? And we'll get really excited and we'll just like, oh, okay, I'm going to write my goals and this is what I'm going to do. And these are the things that I'm going to accomplish this year. And this is what I'm going to, but what we tend to forget is that, it's not always as simple as that, right? Like, let's see, because I got some statistics, right? Because this time I said, let me do better. Let me do better with my statistics, with some stats though. But let's see. Right. So only 17% of people set goals at all, right? And among them, 16% write their goals down. Now, those who write down their goals are 42% more likely to actually accomplish it. Now, so when you think about that, I mean, I think, you know what? That's what I forgot to say, that I have been coughing. Hold on, wait a minute. Whoa, hold on, because I definitely don't want to be on here. Okay, hold on. Wow. Okay, so I did forget to say that, I'm just not feeling so well today. I am feeling a little bit under the weather, but I definitely did not want to cancel today. And and so, because it goes back to like, it's Bold Move Challenge 24. And I know how I can get sometimes. And right now, it's just important for me to just brick by brick, just be consistent with at least doing this. Be consistent with doing that and allow that to grow, right? Like, honestly, the purpose of this podcast is that I hope that there are other people out there that'll look at me and just say, girl, she is just doing stuff, whatever. But I hope you're inspired. I hope you're inspired to now, don't look at me. Look at me for just, for a little bit, but then I hope you go ahead and go on and do what you need to do. I hope you feel inspired. I hope that you feel like this spark that just warms up inside of you. And you're just like, oh my God, I can't just not do that. I can't just leave that on the back burner. Oh no, I've got to move forward. Oh my gosh, I got to do it. I got to try. I got to believe in myself. Am I saying that I want to leave this earth without even believing in myself? Can you at least be the first person to believe in yourself? Oh my gosh. Right. But okay, you look at that. See, I get so carried away. Back to the values, right? So back to the goals, really. So you write down these goals and only 42%. So there's 17% people who believe in, writing their goals. And then, what did they say? Only 16%. Let me make sure, because I just chopped that up real quick, didn't I? Only 17% of people set goals at all. Okay. At all. And then among them, 16% write the goals down, right? Because I do believe that you got to write the goals down, right? Because you need clarity. I need to see exactly what it is that you say that you're going to do. And then I need to know exactly what it is. How can I measure what you're doing? Like, how can I measure whether you were successful, right? Like, I need to have clear information that articulates that. So when it comes time to evaluation, there is no, I wasn't sure because you didn't know. Right. So I love that clarity, right? So we always say writing down your goals because we need the clarity, but it's saying that, hold up, 16% of the people who write down their goals, only 42% of them actually, accomplish those goals. And so I look at that and I say, okay, 42% could be a great number. Ooh, I'm going to need some tea. Okay. Woo! It's so hard when you try not to cough. Oh my gosh, because then you just really want to cough, right? Because earlier I was just letting it go, letting it all hang out. But anyways, so then when you think about that 42% though, it could be more, right? Like, it could be more, right? Because it's not just simply writing down what it is that you want to do, because if that was the case, everybody would be successful in reaching their goals, right? So there's this values piece. There's this values piece that will impact how well you actually complete your goals, whether you accomplish your goals or not, right? Because there's certain values, there's certain beliefs. Okay, I'm really trying. Okay. There are different values, different beliefs that if you're not paying attention to it, it kind of stops you. It can even, like, when you think about when we hear self-sabotage, right? Like you can even self-sabotage. Why? Because there's a belief that you have, and that belief might be negative towards you. Maybe that belief does not truly serve you. Maybe that belief does not empower you. It doesn't, uplift you, encourage you. And so you have this belief. And so yet you have this goal that you truly have every single intention of actually, working towards and moving towards. But then you have beliefs, you have different values that keep, that you keep bumping up against, right? And so being able to kind of, pay attention to that. Now, am I saying that you're going to, is values work something that happens really easily? I mean, like, where you can easily identify your own values. I don't know. I think that, we all have to be able to see that for ourselves. But I definitely have a worksheet that you can use, right? And so I am going to go, share that on the screen. And then you can and if you want to download, you'll be able to go to my website, and I'll have information. If you go to Be Bold, Be You, let's just put that out there right now. Let's see, I didn't create that one. But that's why I say, what it's all about. Let's just do what you need to do. It's not going to be perfect at first. And it's not about being reckless. Like, I always want to say that it's not about being reckless. It's not about just doing whatever. But sometimes you've got to get to the place where you just stop talking about it and you be about it. You got to just start being. Like, we can keep talking. And that's what I realized that I was doing. Right before, I've always wanted to kind of start working my way towards this. And I think back to the first day that I actually started doing this compared to where I'm at now. Now, of course, there's so much still more growth that I definitely can do. But gosh, you gotta move, right? Because there's only so much thinking. And the thing about thinking is that thinking begets thinking, right? So you'll start thinking, and before you know, you just keep going down and down and down and down and down. And before you know it, you're just kind of talking about something proverbial that we have, that you can't even really touch. That you can't do. And so we've got to do it, right? So, okay, let's just get into it. Is that what they say? Let's just get into it. Okay, so then the first sheet. So, let me take off the banner. Let's do that. Okay, now let's take the first sheet. Hopefully you can kind of see this good, but to give you some kind of sense. And you know what? I need to see it better. So let me. Okay. And that's okay. So here's value. So this is the sheet. So this is the sheet that you can use. And what the sheet is really saying is that you can list up the 6 values and then kind of look for ways that you're currently honoring, right? Because the topic of today's, show is values. Are yours lived or stated? And one of the great ways to first kind of start this, and this doesn't have to be something that's done in one day, right? Because it really does take some reflection. You kind of mull through it, just kind of work through it, know what you want to do, but it's really about increasing this self-awareness, increasing being present in the moment so that you can pay attention to what emotions, what feelings are coming up. So, you know what I mean? So it's going to be work, but for now, this is going to be fun because whatever you say are your values, you can just kind of list them. Just list up to 6, right? List up to 6. And I like to say your values can be your life values. Because like for the examples that I'm gonna be talking through today, are going to be like 2 different examples of values, right? Like, so I have the life values, where pretty much how I want my life to be shaped, right? How I want to live my life, those goals, like what I want to, like when that day, when the end comes, I want to be able to say, like, I've honored myself. I've done these things. And so my life values, right? And then we also have values of how you work. And I think that was something that I kind of noticed today for myself, because I'm one of those people that when I get frustrated, I start to sit down and I say, okay, what really frustrated you today? Like, what are you upset about, or what's bothering you? And so, and I realize that, there is a distinction, right? When you kind of think about your values. So I'm going to kind of use those as examples, because what I'd like, because what I challenge you is to really look at the goals that you have for yourself, right? Look at the things that you've been wanting to do, and then kind of see what values would you say have been helping you, have been, kind of coaxing you, pushing you, carrying you, nurturing you towards what it is that you want to do. and we'll pay attention to that. Okay, so let's just jump in. Okay. Oh no. Oh no. That's funny. That's too funny. Okay. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. That is too funny. Okay, so let me look for what I was looking for. Okay, so okay, first I'll talk about my life values, right? Like the values that I say, okay, this is what I say guides, guides me in life, period. The type of life that I want to have, what I feel like, will bring me joy. And so some of the things that I really value, to the core, right? So let's take this off screen. So the first one for me, and these are just to give you ideas. These are not for you to take and say, these are yours, but just to kind of share the process of how I kind of had to kind of go through it and work through it. Because at first I wasn't quite sure what those were. And over the years, I've kind of finessed them, right? Like I've kind of looked at them and said, okay, this is what I'm, So first one is love. It's funny because love is the same for my work values as well as my life values. But love, the first love, and I'm not talking about that, that erotic love, it's really that love, that whole love for who I am, right? Just loving myself for who I am as a whole, right? Not loving myself because one day I'm going to be something, right? Like I'm not loving a future self, but it's really about learning how to love present self, right? It's really, honestly, about loving present self. So not falling in love with your future, like not falling in love with who you hope to be, but falling in love with who you are right now, finding a way to really give yourself grace. And because what I found is that for me, which a lot of people might be like, yeah, that's for me too. But what I found is that I had a hard time moving towards my goals and the things that I wanted to do because I didn't like really believe in myself. Like I really just kind of beat myself up every time I would make a mistake, or if I wouldn't dot an I or cross a T, or, I would just beat myself up and just can't. And don't get me wrong, I still kind of sometimes do that, but I realized that I, the value of love is something that I want to embrace. Love myself, just because what I've realized is that we project, and this is my opinion, but I believe that we project to others how we feel about ourselves, right? Like we can't help but truly be kind to people. Sometimes we can't be respectful. Sometimes it's hard for us to understand, where people are coming from, or be, because we can't even do that for ourselves. Sometimes we're just so negative. Like I wonder if we paid attention to how negative, how many negative conversations we have with ourselves, I think we'd be shocked. We'd be really shocked to see how that is, right? And so we project. I believe that we project. So it's like, I've got to fill my cup. My cup needs to be filled so that I can be right to you, right? Because I think that even sometimes here's my thing, because sometimes when you're giving people fumes, because sometimes we give and we have nothing to give, but we feel like we have to give. What can you give? You have nothing. You are giving people smoke. We are giving people gas. And, and I realized that, what? I need to love myself. I need to love myself fully, and it's not like, oh, let me get my nails done. Let me get my hair done. No, it's like Tracy, you did your best. You did your best. No, it didn't work out quite the way you thought it was, but you did your best. And we are going to honor that. We're going to honor that because how will you know if you don't move forward, right? Like, don't be afraid. It's okay. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody, does something that maybe the end result was not quite what you wanted, but it's normal. We all go through that, right? And I really realized that love, right? So this is a value that I said that I believe in, right? That, I always say, oh, love is my value, right? But sometimes, let's just keep it real. Then I had to really ask myself, is this lived or stated? Lived or stated? Why? Because sometimes, I say love is my value, and maybe I want to encourage other people, and I'm constantly like, oh, you got this, encouraging people, helping people feel good about themselves. But if I'm not doing that for myself, it's really not a lived, it's just a stated goal. I mean, it's a stated value. It's just something that I say, but I really haven't honored it, right? And so that's what that worksheet does. It's just a way for you to really look at your own values and really look at it and say, okay, am I really, right? Like, am I really? So let me do another one because, okay, let's stop. Why is that doing that? Okay, so then the other one was authenticity, right? And I think that the love leads to the authenticity. Well, for me, right? Like, see, and it's funny because these values I really solidified maybe about 2021, yes, and kind of been working to, tweaking it and just really paying attention to it. So I've had a few years, right, like to really evaluate and really check it, and really check myself against those values that I said that I believe in, and so many opportunities. There were so many times where I was just like, oh yeah, you know what, I'm not really embracing this value, right? So authenticity was a big one for me, right? So I need to be able to be my real self. If I have to fake and pretend, if I have to be somebody else in front of you, then I just don't want to be in front of you, right? Like, that's where I'm at in my life right now, right? Like, if I've got to be fake and phony, like if you can't keep it real with me, and I think it goes back to the BS check-in, like if I can't keep it real with you, if we can't just really check in and just be like, okay, this is what's going on. Like, if we can't really talk about the real problem so that we can actually come up with a solution, I'm not your person. Like, I'm not your person. And I've realized that, like, I've realized that just in life, period. I don't like to talk about problems. I really like to handle them. I really like to figure out a way of how we can do things, how we can, work together. But I know I got to be myself, right? And I realize that, I'm bold in questioning things where other people might just look at a leader. And, and I really do try, and I'm not rude, but, I will question things. And I used to just be scared of that. Man, I really used to be scared of that, right? And it would give me headaches. I would get bad migraines, right? Because I wasn't being true to myself, because I knew that I saw something. I saw something that I can see that, yeah, we need to fix that. But sometimes you're in a room with other people that are just, loud talkers, right? And so I would just back off. But I realized that, that's not what I'm supposed to be doing, right? Like, I need to be authentic, right? Like, because if we're thinking about completing goals, right? Because this is all about Bold Move Challenge. This is about challenging yourself to accomplish the things that you said that you want. It's not about sitting on a couch waiting for somebody else to offer you something, right? Like, just waiting for that call to happen. What if that call never comes? Like, I'm not saying that it's never going to, but what if it never comes? What are you going to do? Sit there forever and say, I was just waiting for that call, hoping that somebody would just give me a chance. No. Sometimes you got to create that space for yourself, right? Like, sometimes you just got to do it. And I realized that in order for me to do that for myself, I've got to be authentic. I've got to really embrace that, right? And I think honestly, it just goes back to, I am a spiritual person, right? So how can I know? I've read the Bible, right? And the Bible says that, we were all made in his image. Then how can I sit there and not like myself? Like, I feel like that in itself is wrong, because it's like as if we have a better idea of how we should be rather than God. Really? I believe that God has called us for every experience where we are, when we are, at the time that we are in it, and it's meant to be for our good. I really do. It's all for edification, but it's really about fixing, and I realize that I just have to be able to be myself and be okay with that, right? So that I won't be, so I can move forward with my goals. Faith. You hear me? And somebody had said this to me, and I just love it when they said, walk on water, faith. Walk on water, faith. Like, and that's what I'm talking about. And sometimes it's hard, right? Because sometimes you want to do things, and you're just like, man, people are going to be like, what you doing? It's different. Or people ask you questions and here's my thing. People ask me questions and I don't have an answer. And sometimes I be like, man, I wish they don't ask me what I'm doing, because I don't know. I'm just doing things right now. I'm just seeing whatever my hands will do. What is the word? The feeling, the inspiration will come, and I'm just like, let me just act on it. let me just act on it. Let's just see. Let's see where it goes. Let's see where, you know, but I've got to have faith. And I think the thing with faith is that what we realize is that, you know, we don't necessarily know what's going to happen, right? And I think that that's why a lot of us, you know, have this fear, right? We're afraid, but I think it's supposed to be natural, right? We're supposed to have that fear. But I do believe we've got to move towards it, right? I think have the fear to pause, reflect, and say, okay, do I know what I'm doing? What do I need to do? Okay, am I doing it right? Okay, you know what? Let's move. Let's just go, because we're not going to keep thinking about this. Let's just be about it instead of just talking about it, right? And I believe that faith without works is dead. I mean, right? Because if you believe that you are meant to do that thing, if you have a goal, you set that for yourself. Like, was it just pulled up out of the sky type of goal? Or is this a goal that has come from your heart, right? Like you feel you're supposed to do that goal. Well, if you're supposed to do it, what are you doing? What are you doing today, right? Like, what are you doing right now? And there's a value, there's a belief system that is getting in the way of that, right? But being able to look at that, to be able to say, okay, what are your current values, right? What are they? All right, so let me go to my next value, right? So this is the kicker one for me. And I think that that's what motivated me. That's what pumped me up to move this way. But it was like risk taker. And, you know, and I'm not like, I'm not saying, because the first year, like I said, I still kind of sat back a little bit, but I did stuff, you know. And when I say sat back, I didn't move forward, jump all out like I wanted to, but I was still doing stuff. Like I was still going out, just talking about what I was doing, but just kind of, you know, skirting around, doing this, you know. But it was just like, Tracy, just take a risk. Oh my gosh, jump out of it. Stop being scared. So what? So what if people, you know, so what if people laugh and be like, girl, what you doing? So what? Laugh all you want, right? Like, I can't be concerned. What I started realizing is that, you know what? I've got to take risks because I believe in myself. I can't take risks because other people believe in me, right? Like, that's cool. You believe in me. That's what's up. I love that. Okay. But if I don't believe in myself, I'm not moving. Like, I've got to believe in myself first. We not move. You know what I mean? You've got to take a chance on yourself. And I guess that's my message too. And I guess that is the thing that, you know, if anything, I'm hoping that the Bold Life just inspires other people to stop taking stuff from, you know, stop dealing with stuff just because you think you got to deal with it. You probably don't. But you probably do need to kind of, you know, evaluate some things for yourself and just really think about, like, what is stopping you from moving towards your goals? What is stopping you from creating the things that you want for yourself? You know, what is stopping that, right? Like, because before it was just like, oh, I need to have this. I need to have this big old system. I need to have this. I need to have that. And what I started realizing is that, you know what? All I need is just me to just do it. Because I got to believe that everything that I need, I have it right now, that I'm fully equipped. I'm not incomplete. I don't need something else to be complete, right? Like, and don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to act like, you know, I got this all together, figured out. Sorry about that. Ooh, I don't have things all figured out. Like I definitely don't want to make it seem like that. But what I want to do is hopefully, oh my goodness. Hold on. Oh my gosh. Ooh, it's still tickling. Oh Lord have mercy. Oh my soul. Okay. Ooh. But we've got to take a risk. I mean, we've got to take a chance on ourselves, and that risk taker value, you know, it just couldn't be stated for me, right? Like I really had to actualize it. I had to really say, okay, you believe in risk taking, because I do, right? I believe in just taking a chance on ourselves. Like I love that, right? You watch movies and that person, you know, who might look like they don't have it together and they're not able and not capable, but they get it. You know, I love those stories, right? I'm so sorry about that, right? But those things don't happen for you until you give yourself a chance, right? Like until you just say, you know what, I'm about to go out there and do it. And it's okay. It's okay. I'm going to take a chance, right? And then that next one is community. For me, and I think that that's why I've been doing this, right? Like it's really about, okay, how do I, find a way to create community? Community where, I know that I can be my real self, and because like I said, I feel like I've just gone through life just constantly just trying to live up to somebody else's thing, or maybe going off of people's expectation because maybe they look at me or hear me and think, expect something. And you know what, I realized that, I want to be my real self, but I think sometimes we've got to find that community, right? And community is important to me. And to me, what I realize community is people working together, everybody doing their share. There's this book, I think it's called Giant Leap. I think it's Giant Leap. And I just loved how the author talked about, sometimes people be like, oh, put in your, what are you going to give? How much percentage of, how much percent of yourself or your skill sets or your efforts are you going to put in? And sometimes it'll be like, I put in 50, you put in 50. And it's like, no, put in your 100%, show up 100%, show up and I'll show up. Like, but what I mean? Like, let's show up, let's work together. Right. And what I've realized is that, I don't want the kind of community where I'm just telling people stuff either. Just what I want is a community where we all come together and share our perspectives. Right. And that's important to me. Right. And so why am I saying all this? Right. Because I realize that these are my values. These are the things that I care about. And when things happen that rub against it, right. When I'm in situations where there isn't any community, like, I think that's why I love public policy. I think that's why I get involved and I keep getting more involved and more involved. But I think because it's in public policy, I believe that we need to find a way to work together. You know what I mean? Like, we need to find a way. We don't have to all agree, because I know there's some things I see going on. My gosh, I don't agree. But why can't we talk together? It's just getting ridiculous. The main people that say they believe in God. But anyways, I'm not going to... Okay, so, and then I look at my work values, right? Love, clarity, competence, and confidence. And what I realize is that I have a theme. My theme is just all about, how do we be authentic? How do we believe, how do we believe in ourselves? Like, how do I believe in myself? How do I push myself? And it all goes to, and I realize that when I'm upset or if I'm not reaching my goals, it's because my values are not in alignment, or the values that I say that I believe in, that are mine, that I hold dear, I'm really not doing it. I think there was a conversation, and it's funny, and I think it was like a social media thing where somebody was talking, people were talking about values. And, and I'm sorry, I'm just one of those people that when people be like, it's my values, to do this. And I'm just a firm believer that, values come and go. Like, here's the thing, right? Like, no, I'm not even going to go down that way, because that's just we've really got to pay attention. And I think that when we're able to check our BS, and just say, you know what, there are some values, there are some beliefs that I have, and it really is impacting the way that I interact with people. It's really impacting how I achieve my goals. It's just really, it's a belief. Now, if you disagree, I am just curious, if you're not reaching your goals, what do you think it is? Because I definitely don't believe I have all the answers. And I think that the more we talk and gain perspectives, but if you're not reaching your goals, what do you think it is if it's not values, beliefs, right? Because my bold statement, where's my bold statement? My bold statement is that, values are the building blocks of your belief system. So you've got to be able to, understand that it's not just one value, but there's so many different values, and the different values package different beliefs and different, maybe sayings and different mantras, different actions, right? Like, I feel like it just even has its own, it has its own moods. Different values just bring this package, right? Like, thoughts are things. Like, values, even though it's just a word, it is a real thing. Right? It's a real thing, right? That carries a whole bunch of emotion, energy, that when you walk into the room, those values show up before you do. They're felt. even though, people don't want to admit it, but we feel each other, right? Like you can feel what somebody believes when they walk into the room. You can feel what they believe when they're standing up there talking and expressing their things. You know, or maybe, I don't know, maybe it's just me, I don't know, but you feel it. Values. Are yours lived or are yours stated? Right? I think that when we all can just check ourselves, right? For ourselves, right? Because you don't need me to come to you and tell you that, there are certain beliefs, there's certain, when something's impacting you, right? But it's about paying attention and being present and trying to articulate that thing, trying to name that thing, right? And hopefully that's what you get out of that sheet. So the next sheet that I also have, what did I do there? Okay. The next sheet is really just a free-for-all space where you can just jot down your insights, what you're learning about yourself, right? Just get a sense of what you're learning about yourself, write it down, because what all of this does, like, it brings it to your attention, awareness, right? Like it helps you see yourself for yourself, right? You start to strengthen that muscle of being able to look at yourself and look at some of the things that that you say you care about, and really assess for yourself. Do you really care about it? Are you really, doing the things that you say you do, or are you just saying it? Right? So, I'm not going to talk too much, because me, I can talk forever, but, we're not going to do that today. I'm not going to do that, but, because I think at the end of the day, it's really just about those values. Hopefully, this kind of gives you an opportunity to really think about, what are my values? Now, I didn't share like a values bank, so you can definitely, Google that. And because, I definitely didn't want to come off as I was promoting, because everybody has banks. And honestly, I didn't create my own. I could have, but, week by week, I said brick by brick. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to build a house overnight. Brick by brick, be consistent, right? Stay true to it. See where it goes, right? But yeah, so that's that on that one. Okay, so what did I want? Because we got about like 8 more minutes, but I definitely can just, we can let it ride and just, I'm just happy that I did, because what, I really was a little scared because my internet was starting to act up, and then I was really coughing really badly, and then I started getting hot. Oh, and I had to take some medicine, but I thank God, right? I thank God, because it's really about being bold and just really realizing, because what I mean? It's not all that I'm going to do today. So it's like, don't find an excuse to just, back off, back out. Because I feel like sometimes sometimes self will just be like, no, don't do it. Don't believe in you. No. They're, don't do that. People are going to talk about you. No, people are going to say you're crazy. No, this and that. But we've got to normalize that we all think like that. And sometimes we all have those negative thoughts, and that's okay. What's not okay is to stay in it. Right? It's okay to think that way for a little bit, but it's not okay to stay in it. And how can we encourage each other to get out of that? Move into what it is that you've been called to do, right? It's time to be bold. Believe in yourself, right? Because if you are living, if you are breathing, then that means there's a plan for you. That means you are here to do something. Have you been working on trying to figure what that is? And if you're struggling, take a look at your values. So you definitely can reach, download that on my website, beboldbu.com. And, that's where it is. And so if I'm going to end it with, my bold send out, right? So my first one was a bold statement, and then my bold send out. Like, what am I saying to you today? Like, and just in the most succinct way possible. Check yourself. Right? Check yourself before you wreck yourself. Stuffing things deep down inside and not dealing with things and trying to act like it's all good when it's really not. It's not good for your health. Like, it's just really not. Check yourself. See what values. If there's goals that you're trying to accomplish and you're just struggling with it, start with your values. Look at your values. right? This is not something that you got to pay for. This is free. You download the shit and you can work on it yourself. And what you'll realize is that you'll start being able to articulate what's going on with you, what is getting in your way for yourself. You know what I mean? But you got to check yourself. Don't wait for somebody else to do it, because if nobody comes knocking at your door, you know what I'm saying? It's time to soar in 24. Right? So my parting words is that the bold life belongs to everyone. However, only a few are bold enough to live it. Are you a part of the few? I hope you are. So I hope you join me next week. Like I said, bold sister, check on your bold sister. I'm just really pumped up about it. I'm really pumped up about that, because I just love. Oh, and then also HR advocacy as well. So we're talking about Wednesday and Thursday, but you know what? That's what we're doing, because we believe in ourselves and we're moving forward. All right. Thank you so much for watching. Until next week.